Welcome back to FT.com. Top bankers and their pay never cease to be an object of fascination for many of us. And so you'll be glad to know that the FT and Equilar are back again this year with their survey of the top 15 international bankers' pay. Now, they've in aggregate managed to get paid 12% or so more last year than they did the year before. And that's perhaps a little startling for investors because their share prices and their profits were both down. With me now to go through this in very much more detail is our investment banking correspondent, Daniel Schaffer. Daniel, let's start by going through exactly what was the basis on which Equilar measured executives' pay.
Yeah. The methodology we're using for this exclusive FT survey is basically combines fixed salary for the year 2011, including certain kind of other benefits, as well as the cash bonus that has been paid and all stock and option awards that have been granted during the year 2011. So it could include awards being made for performance in previous years, like in 2010, for instance. So
that would be the defense for earnings appearing to increase in a bad year for the industry.
Yeah, bankers would point out that actually in 2012 already some of the bankers here in the list have received lower or less stock awards and option awards than they have done in 2011 because the performance, as you rightly said, wasn't as good as in the year before in 2011.
Okay, so the bankers got their defence in first. Now let's start talking about last year's biggest winner, who is our old friend Jamie Dimon. What lay behind his pay package?
Yeah. In 2011, JP Morgan has actually managed to increase its profit quite considerably. So James Dimon, who's here on top of the list, received an 11% increase in pay to $23.1 million, and it's actually the second time in a row that he's on top of the list. One has to say though. Despite the high number, 23.1 million, it still dwarfs. It's still being dwarfed by what has been paid in the heyday of the industry. Say in 2007, when, for instance, Lloyd Blankfein at Goldman Sachs got 70 million in pay.
And amazingly, that's the last time we're going to mention Lloyd Blankfein. Doesn't often happen when discussing bankers' pay. Let's talk about the people who got the biggest increase, and that takes us to Brian Moynihan of Bank of America.
Yeah, Brian Moynihan actually got more than 6 times a higher salary in the past year to almost $7.5 million. And that was mainly because the bank managed to get from a loss in 2010 to a net profit of 1.4 billion in 2011. Having said that, the bank is still seen as there's still seen many strategic gaps in the bank. It has still got some work to do because it's still grappling with what happened after it took over Countrywide, the mortgage lender in the US. And the other one that has enjoyed a very big pay rise is Vikram Pandit here in the middle.
But then again, total pay in 2010 was $1.
Yeah, it was $1. So you could in percentage it would make a ridiculous number. But he received almost 50 million in the past year. And the main reason for that is when he started in 2009, he said, "I'm going to take only $1." Basically, it was because of pressure from lawmakers. He said, "I'm going to only take $1 in pay," until Citigroup, which had to be bailed out with 45 billion by the US taxpayer, until Citigroup will come back to profitability. Okay. Actually, that already happened in 2010, but he only received a pay rise in 2011.
That still led to shareholder unrest, however, hasn't it? And that's also true of the next guy we're going to discuss, who's Bob Diamond of Barclays.
Yeah, actually, if I quickly have to go back to Vikram Pandit, he was the first the first CEO on this list who faced a shareholder revolt at the AGM. His pay package was rejected by shareholders, and the same happened then here in Europe. Bob Diamond, the CEO of Barclays, who's new here on the list and comes in second immediately. So he jump started to second place with a 20.1 million pay package. He faced a similar revolt, only that it wasn't the majority rejecting his pay package, mainly due to a £5.75 million tax payment that was made for him on behalf of Barclays.
Okay, now let's very quickly talk about the biggest loser in this list, if any of these fine men can be called losers. That's Brady Duggan of Credit Suisse. What's happened there?
Yeah, Brady Duggan, whom we are seeing here, he actually received the biggest pay cut with 46% in the past year, and it now comes last on the list. He has been criticized massively in 2 or 3 years ago when he received a huge pay package at Credit Suisse. And the Credit Suisse performance in the meantime has suffered. Its share price has underperformed the market last year. And so he pay for performance seemed to have worked in the sense that his pay was almost halved in the past year.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Daniel. That will be of some reassurance that there seems to be some pay for performance in the banking sector. If you want to take a look at this interactive graphic a little bit more, you'll find it on ft.com.